I appreciate your remarks about oversight, and you, of all people, know how important it is for the Congress to provide oversight. We legislate, we pass laws, but through oversight, we can make the executive branch more effective. And I think a lot of times we introduce bills that go nowhere, and particularly in this Congress, we see a lot of gridlock. And I think oversight in what we're doing here today, we can make changes for the better. And as you mentioned, this department probably needs more oversight than any other. And so thank you for your testimony. My first question has to do with, when I got the information from the IG report and GAO, I was very alarmed by the corruption within the Border Patrol, Customs and Border Patrol, particularly the case involving the agent who 19, 20 different times facilitated cartels with drug transactions, bringing cash and weapons into the airports, getting past screening with a badge, and taking those cash and weapons out of this country to groups that I consider to be terrorists. Then I saw there were over 200 active investigations, cases. I guess, Mr. Edwards and Ms. Barrick, I mean, how extensive is this problem, and how can we stop it? Because as a former public corruption prosecutor, I see nothing more offensive than somebody that has sworn an oath to our country and our Constitution than betraying our country and our Constitution by these acts.
Mr. Chairman, preventing employee corruption is a difficult task, especially the value a corrupt employee brings to the criminal enterprise mainly involved in the drug trade. The department uses pre-employment screening, CBP uses polygraphs, and they also do periodic background investigation to help address the corrupt employees and to identify infiltrators. But that alone is not enough. We, along with the components, do integrity briefing and training to alert employees on signs of corruption and the consequences of corruption, and also invite employees to come to us and let us know when they see corruption that exists. We also work with law enforcement entities and components to detect and to arrest corrupt employees. Besides civil rights violations, this is our highest investigative priority. Last year in FY 2011, we arrested 403 employees. But to end answering your question, we need to have effective, strong internal controls, which is critical to detecting, deterring, and preventing these type of incidents.
Well, over 400 arrests?
403, sir.
Border Patrol agents?
All arrests for FY11.
Yeah. I mean, this is sort of like an enemy within, that we need to pay attention to. I was not aware of the extensive nature of this corruption within the department, and thank you for calling that to our attention. Ms. Barrett, do you have anything to add to that?
Mr. Chairman, while the IG does criminal investigations of these cases, GAO's role is more to look at what controls do the agencies have in place to detect and prevent this prior to some criminal act happening. We actually have some ongoing work now looking into these issues. There's more congressional interest in this. For example, we're looking at the integrity of border agents and what controls DHS has in place to ensure that. We're going to be reporting out this summer, and we have some similar work at TSA as well, and we'd be happy to brief you and your staff when that work's completed.
I'm also concerned about some of these employees that work in the fast food restaurants in the airport, and they have these badges to get in without screening, and you often wonder what kind of background checks are done on these individuals as well. When I was working counterterrorism, we initially did a sweep of all the airports of illegals who are working within the airports who have these badges because they can be compromised. And so With that, the other issue that is so important to me, being from Texas, is the border, and what are we doing to better secure the border? And the technology piece, we've done a lot of the fencing and all that, and added more agents, but the technology piece is the piece that has not been completed. And when I hear the Secretary say it's going to be another 10 years before that can be done, a lot of my constituents get very frustrated about that. And so SBInet in the Arizona-Tucson sector was a colossal failure to the tune of almost $1 billion. What is the Department doing now? And I know, Ms. Barrick, you've called into question the technology piece in the Tucson sector today in terms of they're not doing it the right way.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With respect to SBInet deployed along 53 miles of the highest risk area within Arizona, we found that Border Patrol generally thinks it's providing value. They're happy with the increased support it's providing. However, the Army Test and Evaluation Command did a study that actually found SBInet is only providing a marginal improvement in interdiction capability when you compare to what was already on the ground sensors and other things. And so we actually recommended that DHS do a post-implementation review because they are spending money maintaining that system, as you mentioned, along the 53 miles to really see, is it worth the investment that we're paying for this? The second piece to this is DHS's new strategy for securing the southwest border starting in Arizona. They're calling it the Arizona Technology Plan. There's a lot of similar technologies that they're planning on using that they were going to be using for the failed SBInet. We've called into question the need for CBP to do better planning to make sure that they can justify the specific technologies, the locations, the numbers that they're going to pursue so that Congress can make informed decisions about those, and also have better life cycle cost estimates. We found that the estimates were a very rough order of magnitude. We think there's a potential for significant more funds being needed to roll this out as DHS has envisioned it. So we think they need more rigor in how they go about pursuing this part 2 of securing the border.
Well, in this time of budgetary constraints as well, Congressman Cuellar and I, he's from Laredo and I'm from Austin, but we talked a lot about leveraging existing technologies within the federal government. I mean, too often we're stovepiped. And so the DOD has some great sensor surveillance technology that already exists, and the private sector has a lot of this already. We don't need to start from scratch. And as we draw down our operations in Iraq and Afghanistan, I think that we ought to be, reallocating those technologies to the southwest border. In fact, on a recent trip to Afghanistan and Pakistan and Iraq, we talked to the generals about that, and I think that would be an effective use of the federal government's resources. Final question, because my time is well, I'm about almost 3 minutes over, but Governor, I just wanted to, with all of your vast experience, in this issue, and to some extent I agree with you, merging 22 agencies, I mean, what a difficult task. Now, I don't envy any secretary of this department. It's a monumental task that they have. What, in your opinion, just a very general question, what do we need to do to fix this department?
Mr. Chairman, I think that this is a good time, 10 years on after the 9/11 attack, to simply do a management assessment of whether or not the structure of the Department of Homeland Security is the best way to carry out the mission of protecting the nation. There are other alternatives that we offered and that other people have offered. We do not wish this department any ill. We wish it success, and particularly because the security of the nation depends on it. But an overall management assessment, particularly the work that's being done by GAO and the Inspector General, we think are productive. But I would be cautious about only looking at the granular issues that have been addressed here this morning. This person or that person, or the badge is not right, or you can't get into the fast food areas. I think an overall management look at the department and the mission that needs to be carried out 10 years on would be a very healthy thing, and the Congress, of course, could lead in that way and make that happen. Mr. Chairman, if I might add one more thought about this. we believe at Free Congress that there are several serious threats to the nation. We think that the lack of growth and the economic downturn is the greatest challenge to our national security that exists. But also the threat to the southern border is very serious in our view. I don't think that any consistent policy has been articulated yet as to what we're trying to do down there other than build fences and perhaps capture people in the desert. At the end of the day, people are corrupt because of money, because of the great deal of money that can be offered to people, which means that I believe that a public statement from the Congress would be very healthy to say that it isn't just a matter of taking money and being publicly corrupt and in violation of the criminal laws. I myself was a prosecutor. The public statement really ought to be that people who take money from drug people in order to smuggle and set up abilities to be corrupt are actually betraying their country. And in fact, the people who are using these products that are being offered in the United States of America, when they use them, aren't just breaking the criminal law. They are betraying their country because they're setting up an opportunity here for insecurity. These corruptions and methodologies that are going on the southern border, you wait until we get into another major conflict in this country and people want to strike inside this country. The vehicles and methods and routes to do damage to this country exist on that southern border.
I couldn't agree with you more. I've been talking a lot, it's my fourth term, 8 years, about that border and the threat that is posed from the southern border. And, just recently with what's going on in Iran, with Israel, the Iranian operative thinking he's contracting with Los Zetas, the drug cartels, to take out the Saudi ambassador in Washington. They're becoming more operational, and we know that the Quds forces and Hezbollah have a presence now in this hemisphere, and that southern border, I think, it poses a serious threat, and thank you for identifying that.